Start. So I'm going to do this pretty in depth, though I may have to take a slight break for when we're actually starting the tournament. So this deck is pretty simple. So previously I played a 4-color General Ferrous list. General Ferrous, if you haven't read him, he's hexproof for mono-colored, 3 mana, 3/1. Whenever you play a multicolored spell while he's in play, you get a 4/4, which is absolute nuts. So before I brought this mainly Esper splashing red for Ferrous deck, a lot of people have been playing Jeskai, so blue, white, red only, or 5-color. And I thought that was just unnecessary. Like, we don't actually need many red cards. We can just do the Esper base, which is Meddling Mage is incredible because combo are some of the best decks right now, High Tide and Channel, which are, of course, named after the main cards in them. And then Tide Hollow Scholar gives more disruption, but I wasn't really happy with the Esper Stormblades. These were just filler. Vindicate's kind of unnecessary in this meta. Comball just gets bounced against combo now. They've evolved a bit. Hostage Taker's kind of unnecessary when you have Reflector Mage. So I redid this after playing some other Bant and 4-color decks. Some more serious than others. I played Bant Humans, for example, and a Ferrous Teamer Ascendancy one just for fun. And so what we have here is we still have the Meddling Mages. Denix shuts down Recurring Nightmare, which has become more popular. That's also legal now. We get Sylvan Library from green. Coiling Oracle is an excellent card, even if it's a little old. Fleecemane Lion is one of the best threats in the format, and possibly in all of Magic's history, though it's fallen off a bit in other formats. If people aren't consistently removing it when it comes into play, it just threatens to become unstoppable. Shardless Agent is the big reason to be green, though. This just gives us 2 spells. If we have Ferrous, that's also 2 tokens, because it's based on cast, and Cascade does cast the spell. Bant Charm is a removal option that does not get hit off of Shardless, because you really don't want to have Shardless hit a removal spell game 1 if your opponent has no creatures, because then you just don't get anything off of it. It's just a 3-mana 2/2. Reflector Mage bounces our opponent's stuff. Angel Fire Ignition, this is a new card. It gains a boatload of life and hits your opponent for that much damage, and that just crushes Prowess, which the rest of the deck isn't really designed to beat. Fort Arkham's Astrolabe are why this deck is possible. This is a broken card. It's banned in every format except Vintage and maybe Commander, and it just fixes your mana perfectly if you cast it off of a Snow Basic, which have no downside. We also have 5-color lands, but really 4-color. Grand Colosseum, which enters tapped. It's a pain land of any color, like a City of Brass, or it taps for colorless. City of Brass is not legal. Pillar of the Perins, just untapped, tap for any color, but only for multicolored spells, which casts everything in the 75 except Magus of the Moat. Raging Ravine's the best man land. We have a lot of white for our sideboard cards. All of our other pain lands, these 5, tap for blue, so I have less blue fixing, and then I have a decent amount of green. And then the Astrolabes, of course. So we actually have, with 4 Astrolabe, 4 Colosseum, 4 Pillar, 12 5-color sources, which are effectively 4-color. We top it off with Tamiyo, who is a quite underrated Planeswalker. This wasn't legal last season, but I'm excited for it. I tried it out. She is nuts, actually. Drawing 2 cards a turn or tapping down opponent's stuff, which is really relevant against mono blue, which gets Fidalkin Shackles this season, which is scary. The sideboard, we have 4 Deafening Silence for BS combo, 3 Lantern of the Lost for Recurring Nightmare, Esper Graveyard Value, anything like that. Some removal, 1 Sacred Fire, 2 Rip Apart. We can hit a big creature or an artifact in the main, but we don't have much removal in general. So I like the Rip Apart flexibility. 4 Magus of the Moat for Elves, which just kills you turn 3 or 4 pretty consistently. This is just a hard lock versus them. So we just say 4 mana, you lose. We have a lot of you lose options versus certain less fair decks. And then 1 Assemble the Legion. We have no other artifacts or enchantments in the deck except Astrolabe and Lantern. So nobody's going to be prepared to stop this. So for fair matchups, this should just be 5 mana. You either kill us before this takes over, or you lose the game, which is nice. It's better than a Planeswalker would be in that slot, I think, but it could be better as Huatli or a third Tamiyo, or probably not a Xenagos. Xenagos kind of sucks. We are starting. Where is the info? Okay, we are playing against Matt, who is one of the mods on the Penny Dreadful Discord. Shout out to them. Penny Dreadful, they are, they set up all these games. They got a card hoarder sponsorship. Wonderful. I think we went over everything in the deck tech. I'll pull that back up for you now so you can see. That should be it. There's some like micro considerations in deck building that I did not go over, but this should be good. Be polite. So yeah, if you don't know how people are like play this format, it is set up through a website and a Discord server, and there's actually a second website too, but that's kind of been mothballed. And then there's also a Card Hoarder sponsors all of this. So I'm not sponsored by Card Hoarder, but it is quite nice of them to do that. We are keeping this. It's good against everything but combo, and combo isn't actually as popular as you'd think. It's good, but it's not omnipresent. I can play turn 2 Fleecemane into turn 3 Ferrous without using Lave, so I'm just going to lead on the tap land. Mana sequencing is very important in this deck. Reflector Mage is really good since we're not against combo. Is this aggro slide? Gather the Towns? Oh, this is tokens, I guess. We should be able to overpower this. We're going to play the Lion. Take a damage, but whatever. It's a 2-mana 3/3, which is good. People who played Magic before I did might remember Watchwolf. People who play Standard now might remember Fleece or Bronzehide Lion, which is similar and got printed in the last Theros set, which just rotated. It's a good card. So here we're going to just be able to slam Ferrous. Our opponent used a multicolored removal spell, so it's unlikely that he'll be killed. That's actually a pretty solid draw, because that means we don't take any more pain from our mana. And then next turn we could just Tamiyo. Tamiyo's really weird with her +1, because it's until your next turn, any of the 2 creatures you choose draws a card when it deals combat damage. So that's blocking and attacking. That's opponent's creatures and your creatures. So I can like play Tamiyo, choose my Golem that I just made, which is Summoning Sick, and then I get a card if my opponent attacks, which is really strong. Right now, I think I do want to do that. Just slam Tamiyo, get that going. I want to play this for mana considerations. This will cost a life. Might be a little lag on Magic Online right now. We get a free 4/4. I don't think I'm attacking with Ferrous here. Just because my opponent has mana up, there's stuff like Raise the Alarm and what's the other one? So I'm just choosing these 2 creatures and not attacking. Audio sounds good. That's good to hear. Somebody messaged me something, but it's not for the tournament. I will read that later. Sorry, forgot I was not attacking. I was checking messages. Unfortunately, Tamiyo, yeah, see, that would have killed our Ferrous. That is why I did not attack, because 1/1 and Ferrous are very different levels of power. Unfortunately, Tamiyo does not actually show which ones you chose, I think. Does this show which one you chose? Oh, it does actually say the name of it. Just if there's multiple, it doesn't read right. That is scary. I have Reflector Mage, it's fine. I'm going to cycle Labe before anything else. Labe can cast Labe off of a non-snowland, which is nice. That's not bad. If I hit a land off of that, I can double spell, but I'm just going to Reflector Mage and do another Labe, meaning I guess I want to do this first. Just have the most info. Okay, that's good for next turn. Blue, white. This is like the most annoying mana base to cast anything with, but c'est la vie. Reflector Mage is especially good in this matchup because bouncing tokens just kills them forever, but even just doing this feels so good. And then I can plus on the 2 golems for blocking, and I am going to send one of these in here, I think. It's pretty hard for my opponent to get these two for power. There is a card, it's a red-white tokens card, Heroic Reinforcements. It is not legal, if you're wondering. I'm not actually sure why my opponent used red other than removal. Speaking of which, we will bring in some removal. I think we're going to bring in Magus. We don't need Graveyard Hate, Deafening Silence, or Dirtily enchantments. Tamio is good there, but she is slow, and we just have better stuff. Bant Charm, we don't really need that expensive single target. This can counter Token Producer, but I don't really want to be leaving up mana. Sylvan Library is interesting. I don't actually have the most way to shuffle. Or actually, do I have any way to shuffle? No, it's just Shardless Agent that can clear Library, or it can set up stuff for Coiling Oracle. So I'm going to go down a Library. My life total will be under pressure. That gets us these. Blowing up enchantments is important in this matchup. They will have stuff like Intangible Virtue and the Leyline that buffs tokens, though that also buffs our tokens. Angel Fire Ignition might not be necessary. We can win through our own Magus with the backside of Dennick, which is flying. That's our only flyer in the 75, if you were wondering. So, yeah. Or you can just kill our own Magus. I guess we're bringing a lot of 2-drops. I could slim on Meddling Mages. Those don't really do anything but stop our opponent's rip-aparts, and we don't have any. I'm actually going to cut probably 2 Meddling Mages, bring in 2 more Magus of the Moon, or not Moon, Moats. Magi of the Moat, I guess, is the plural. 2 Meddling Mages is fine. We can name, like, Intangible Virtue or whatever still. Are Meddling Mages better than Fleecemane is the question. Fleecemane blocks really well, so I think so. I think Coiling Oracle's better because it can ramp us into Magus. I think I want the 4th Magus actually. Is 1 Meddling Mage just like dumb? I think it might be, but I'm going with this. Magus should just be like a hard lock, except against like the occasional flyer. I doubt that deck has Squadron Hawk, though it could. I do not know our opponent's play very much. I know he's a mod on the Discord, but I don't know what decks he plays in general, so I don't know really anything about this list. Mono White Tokens did win a tournament a bit ago, but that was a different player. Yeah, there's the Leyline. That does buff our tokens. It's all tokens, not just our opponents. So that will make our Golems 5/5s, which is actually quite relevant often. Same play pattern again, just want to get the tap land out of the way. If Coiling Oracle ramps us on 2, that's incredible. And we have stuff to do on 2 mana, except this Rip Apart, which we can't cast yet, but that's kind of the price you pay for having 2-drop red spells post-board in this deck. That is mainly Bant. We're going to Coiling Oracle. What do we have? Land. Snow-covered land. Okay, that's fine. That's a good blocker. first Sylvan Library, we do have Dennick to regain life for it, but I'm probably not going to be paying much in this matchup. That is good. That lets me... I could Shardless right now. I think I want to fix my mana, though, in case I want to rip apart something next turn. I could actually rip apart the Leyline now, but... okay, that's good. I'm just going to play Fleece Mane to block the 2/2s. That should come down at instant speed and not attack. This deck has the very, very nice advantage on Magic Online that you can just F6 and not worry about pretending you have counter spells. So that's nice and relaxing compared to like High Tide. I cannot send that Chain Lightning back. 2 Astrolabes would actually let me do that, but it doesn't happen as much as I think. Dennick's not bad. I think I want to play Sylvan Library Dennick. That's kind of a card draw engine, the two of them combined. I'll tap green. Lab will give me the blue off of Dennick, or off of Colosseum pain-free. That's not what I meant to do. Every point of life does matter a lot when you're playing Library, because being able to pay for it a draw is very nice. I think this is a promo available in the monthly player rewards, which is why it's so cheap, because it is a very powerful card that sees regular play in Legacy. Though I guess so is like Dark Ritual, which is legal. I'm going to always yes, always yield. Ferrous is good. Shardless will clear these next turn. I did not hit a land. I could pay 8 and try to lab into a land. I don't think that's worth it. I'm just going to top. Draw into Reflector Mage. I do want to have that in hand. That's a very good card in this matchup. And then play Ferrous. We're in a pretty good spot. I'm still not going to attack with Dennick, I don't think. I can just put a bunch of counters with Ignition, gain tons of life, draw tons of cards, let that engine go. Let's see. Yeah, Ignition and Dennick are part of why I'm comfortable running 2 main deck Library in an otherwise already high value deck, just because the life gain makes it so good. And we do often need it to hit lands, like right now. Oh, we win. Okay, that was a nice match. Didn't even have time to say good game. All right, I am going to report those results. We do have to manually report on Gatherling, which is where this is hosted. That was a 2-0. And then we will come back for the next round whenever everyone else is done. Let me just check. Unfortunately, I can't show this on screen because it's on my phone, but this tournament is 4 rounds of Swiss and then the top 4, so semifinals and finals. My opponent conceded because I was in a commanding position, like an extremely commanding position, which is how I built that deck. Is you're supposed to make your opponent concede. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We have 2 games still going on. We can see these here. Actually, if I share the screen again, I'm going to put one of these on the screen for you, and then I'm going to mute myself while I drink some water. Yeah, drink some water and pour a second drink. Myth Realized is one of my favorite cards. I believe I have this in paper. I love it. It's great. Nothing else to say. For context, I started playing like right when that set came out, so that is why I have Myth in paper and fond memories of failing to make it work in my first Jeskai deck when I didn't know anything about deck building or playing or anything else in Magic. I'm not on Red Bull or anything like that. I'm just having some seltzer with fruit juice, but sounds fun. Uh, I don't know this blue-white control deck particularly well. There's been quite a few versions of that archetype, but this mono-white heroic one has been picking up, and it's pretty strong unless you make the misplay of giving your creature protection from white and knocking all of your enchantments off of it. Though in this case, that's actually still a winning play because it's big enough to kill the opponent. So that was not incorrect, but I did have an opponent just completely throw away a game the other day by doing that. So be careful if you pick that deck up. God's Willing or Benevolent Bodyguard giving protection will knock off auras. Looks like Tenor Sax just won that match. And then there is one more going on. Thank goodness we're allowed to spectate because this actually gives me something to put on the screen while we're waiting. Looks like this is some sort of weird Enchantress deck versus High Tide. That counterspell probably means the High Tide player is going to win right here. I'll pop out this graveyard so you can see. Yeah, Constellation, unless Horizons. Oh, that's the one that exiles all the planes from your deck. That is a fun card. But yeah, Moonblessed Cleric is quite a card. It's basically an... Is it Enlightened Tutor? Is that the one? The white one? Whatever it is. It puts an enchantment on top. It's also just a 3/2. You can blink it. Cool art. Just all around solid card. And it's less than 2 cents, so we get it. Human Elf is a creature type pairing only seen in the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set. The core set for this last year was replaced with a D&D crossover. It was quite controversial. Yes, I've heard all the opinions on it before. So have people who work at WotC probably, though I don't know what they actually think about how much of a success it was. But yeah, so it's like a half elf in D&D, which is half elf, half human. But that's not a normal creature typing, and they didn't actually print any that were very good in humans or in elves in any format, so it's not really something that actually breaks the game. It's just like a D&D flavor thing they're trying to cross over into Magic. Yeah, Forgotten Realms. You can see there's like the flavor text for the ability. It's not actually a named ability according to the game rules, but it is an ability that is named in D&D, and so it's like the name's kind of flavor. They did that for a bunch of them. I would show you all some of the cards from that set, but it looks like this game is almost over, so we're going to have to play in a second. Yeah. Treasure Cruise is a good card. People get to run 4 of it in this format instead of the 1 that they get in Vintage, and Ancestral Recall at the cost of exiling some cards from your deck is very, very nuts. So generic blue piles with this are pretty common in all seasons. Sphere of Safety. I've actually been wanting to maybe brew a Stacks deck that's green, white, or Bant with Sphere of Safety. We have Sterling Grove, actually, because that got printed in Modern Horizons 2. That added a lot of cards to the format by just making them super cheap, especially once people realized that they weren't even good enough for Modern anymore, or they didn't have the proper homes there. So we got stuff like Goblin Bombardment, Vindicate, what else? Sterling Grove, of course. Those are the main ones, I think. Vindicate, I don't know how long that's been in, but I took a place out of those to the top 8 last season because that's a good card. Less good this season, just because of how it lines up. Right, that's the last match. They will report, and then we will go on to our next match. Yeah, so we will be in game again in a second. Crossover from Magic to D&D, not vice versa. Yeah, it depends. I'm a fan of both. I'm also a fan of some of the other IPs that have gone crossover, mainly Lord of the Rings. I honestly am not a huge fan of any crossover that is going to involve like any stories being like written without like the original author writing them. But for Magic and D&D, like WotC owns both. They are both written by a bunch of authors, so that's less of an issue. So I'm kind of in the middle on them. I think like I've heard that the Strixhaven one wasn't actually built in the most interesting way for a D&D like adventure campaign, but they added some cool stuff. Just like classes and powers and races from D&D or from Magic in D&D. Nobody complains about more character options in D&D, even if they don't personally choose them. So yeah, Lovecraft. So the thing is, there's already Lovecraft cards in both. Lovecraft stuff. I mean, Tameo. This card is from. This is the Secret Lair version, but Tameo Field Researcher is from. We have to see ones we don't own. But that is from Shadows over Innistrad, which included these, a bunch of like Lovecraftian horror stuff centered around this monster, Emrakul. Lots of stuff like that, right? Delirium was like a set mechanic for that, which you can see here. These like priests of, kind of gods, which are these like Eldrazi titans. It was actually kind of a controversial set, but yeah. Okay, we have the next pairings up. Yeah, Bant Hero. It's I have found that 4-color hero just splashing red instead of going all in on it. It is the best in this format right now, but it is kind of a disgusting, like, okay, this is just dumb mana base and all that. I was testing a bug. We can't play Fiery Justice today because it is bugged on Magic Online and does not properly give your opponent life as its drawback. And, if the card loses its drawback, that is I accidentally made that with 1 player instead of 2 because I was previously testing that bug. Yeah. So, Fiery Justice, which is 1 red, 1 white, 1 green, deals 5 damage divided among any targets you choose, but you also give target opponent 5 life. So it's either used in decks that don't really care much about your opponent's life total to clear enemy creatures, or it's used in builds with Territorial Kavu, which gets a +1/+1 counter for each life your opponent gains. So it just becomes deal 5, your opponent gains 5, but also you buff your Kavu by 5/5 forever, which is well worth it. It doesn't give your opponent life. I was going to bring it in against elves, because Ferrous doesn't really care about your opponent getting 5 life if you're just pooping out 4/4s constantly. Yep. Penny Dreadful is I found the most polite format on Magic Online. Everyone's just saying, good luck, have fun, hope you have nice games, bantering in the chat. It's pretty nice. This is an okay hand. No turn 3 play. Tap land into Lion means we don't get Astrolabe down immediately. We do have like perfect mana, but it's not amazing, but I'll keep. We do have a raid draw and then a Planeswalker, so yeah, we're also on the play. So, 2 mana 3/3 on the play is good. Opponent's on Astrolabe. I wonder if this is my deck. I did play this deck, a slightly different version in League before. Oh, I should have showed that at the start of the stream. I am taking life for playing this since I didn't go Pillar or Basic on one, but that's fine. Getting tap lands out of the way is just so important, as I said before. Double green Astrolabe. Huh. Oh, this could just be the Snow... Yeah, this is just the Snow Stompy deck. That won a tournament before. That actually crushed me in that tournament. Turn 3 Ferrous into turn 4 Tamiyo is good. I'm going to attack before giving any other information. Pillar... Oop, wrong card. That's red, white, green, and there we go. Yeah, 4-color mana, when you're playing Ferrous specifically, is less bad than it seems. Okay, Jeskai, sorry, I missed that. Jeskai Hero, I talked about at the start. I think Jeskai Hero is better in some ways. I think it is also well positioned. I think it has issues grinding out certain decks, issues with the mirror. It doesn't sideboard as well in some aspects, though Fire Age Justice being bugged makes that irrelevant. And it doesn't get Tamiyo. Tamiyo's good. Just accept the Lord and Savior Tamiyo. We can play Tamiyo off of Basic here. And Astrolabe next turn. Blue and white. For Tamiyo, we get a quote-unquote free 4/4. Not actually free, but whatever. I don't need to tap down my opponent's stuff. I'd rather just get free cards. Actually, Tamiyo would be pretty good with anything with double strike, wouldn't it? Huh. It's each time it deals damage? That's cool. Or with Vigilance. I don't think it's necessary. Oh, I have to stack these? Oh, that's weird. Does it give the... Oh, that is super weird. On Magic Online, I guess it gives the ability to the creature, but it doesn't show it. But it's in the effects area. Okay, Tamiyo's coded kind of weirdly on Magic Online for the user interface, so it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with it sometimes, but yeah. Yeah, keep that in mind if you ever use this. It does trigger each time it deals damage, so good with Vigilance and Double Strike, and yeah, unblockable, big creatures, whatever. Our opponent played this. I should have had that popped out, sorry. Okay, I will... So I can just hit for 10, put my opponent to 1. If I tap down these two with Tamiyo, my opponent will get a Merit Lage in 2 turns, but that's fine. I can tap that down later also. These will not untap also. Tamiyo, it's the like blue style tap, don't untap. It hits 2 permanents also. I'm probably doing that, in which case I want to cycle Astrolabes first. Ooh, that's lethal. Okay. Sometimes you just get lucky, and you know, top deck lethal. I will give the Golem a bunch of buffs. And I don't actually have to do this cleanly, but I might as well. Yep. So turn 5 lethal off the top, a bit lucky there, but I think we had that game in the bag anyways because we could tap down 2 more blockers. Next turn, we would have put our opponent to 1 anyways. I don't actually have much for this matchup. This matchup's kind of scary. Magus doesn't shut down their entire deck. It shuts down some, but it doesn't stop Merit Lage, and I don't actually have a way to deal with Merit Lage except Bant Charm or Tamiyo tapping it down forever. Oh no, I have Reflector Mage. Okay, that's good. Our life total will be kind of under threat, so Sylvan Library is a bit worse. They do have ways to kill Ferrous. 4 of the blue-green spell from Strixhaven that either mana leaks a non-creature spell or has 2 creatures fight, and they have big creatures. So, Rip Apart doesn't actually kill those. Sacred Fire does pick up some of the smaller ones, and the flashback makes it a bit better. Deafening Silence does nothing. Magus of the Moat, Rip Apart, Assemble the Legion are considerations. I just kind of have to figure out what my strategy is versus this deck. This is kind of a deck that preys on my deck, so this may take a second to figure out. I think I do want to go down a library for that Sacred Fire. Ignition was good there, as in just top decking lethal, but I don't think it's actually particularly great against this deck. Gaining life can be relevant, so they can't like 2-shot you with a 12/12 or something, or like kill you with a single Merit Lage hit. Rip Apart blows up the Merit Lage thing or little creatures, Frostdogger. I think it's fine, especially if they play a Mana Dork on the play, which they do play. And then, like, do I want to try to flood the board? Like, their things trample, so I don't think so. Magus is kind of sketchy because then I can't kill them and they will outvalue me. So, Meddling Mage is helpful. I might just, like, trim a... I'm going to trim the Ignition and, like, a Denic. Oh, could just be the second Sylvan Library, actually. Because I'm just never outvaluing this, and my life total is under so much pressure. But I don't know if that's right. I'm running out of time. Yeah. Or just a... Actually, I'm going to trim an Oracle, just because, like, we can't outvalue this, and it's kind of pointless to try to. The ramp helps, but the ramp is, like, random. So, yeah, we'll see. Not much other chat in the chat. I'm doing well. We are 1-0 in our second match. We went 2-0 in our first one, playing Bant General Ferrous, hero, in Penny Dreadful, of course. Maybe I should have actually put the deck in the stream title. That would have been something worth considering. So I can Meddling Mage like the big Tree Folk or something, and then Shardless to maybe get a removal spell or a beater. I think this is good. I did not bring in any non-multicolored sideboard cards, so I can just lead on Pillar. Yeah. Ramping on 1 means turn 3 4-drop, so I'm going to want to name that. I think I will name the... So there's Spirit of the Elder Guard, or there's the big Tree Folk. It's, I'm gonna have to look at that one up. So, yeah. Okay, a removal spell will not deal with that, but that's fine. I'll play the Plains, play Meddling Mage, and I think I just name Spirit of the Elder Guard to stop my opponent from curving and hitting land drops, though Abominable Tree Folk, that's the one, might be the name. Yeah, Abominable Tree Folk. So yeah, there's Tree Folk. I could just name, like, the Fight spell, but there's the other Fight spell which can kill Meddling Mage, so that's kind of pointless. It's just if I want to name Spirit of the Elder Guard or Abominable Tree Folk. One is an XX trample, where X is the number of snow permanents, and it taps something down and it doesn't untap when it enters. The other one is an X4, where X is the number of snow permanents, but it tutors a land when it comes into play. I'm going to name the big Tree Folk. Trample is like a nightmare for this deck. My opponent can tutor basic. Or, oh wait, does it tutor any snow land? It might. I think my opponent runs like Mouth of Ronom to tutor up like a 4 damage removal spell with that. Okay, we'll see. Yeah, we're probably going to see Mouth of Ronom revealed here. Though I can get kind of ahead of that Ferrous, though. No, that will kill Ferrous because it's not monocolored, it's colorless. So I probably want to start with Shardless. This is a really tricky matchup. Yeah, I can't make that trade. Coiling Oracles, whatever. I think I want to just Shardless right now. I can make my opponent below the mouth right now and just do nothing else next turn. But then I lose Ferrous. I can then go like Tamiyo tap stuff down or Shard. I think I Shardless and wait on Ferrous. We get Dennick, which is a solid blocker. No attacks. We can double block this Spirit and get back Dennick. Okay, that is something kind of scary. Maybe I was supposed to actually trade the Meddling Mage so my opponent couldn't blow up Ferrous immediately. Okay, there's the Lizard Brawl on Dennick. That's weird. They don't have any graveyard stuff, do they? Is it just because it's a blocker? Oh, no, there's just two. Okay. We're taking a bit of damage here. Yeah. I will trade with Rhyme Tender. This costs 5+ tapping it, so that's 3, 4. My opponent needs a land to activate that, which isn't the most unlikely. I can Coiling Oracle into Rip Apart. I will do that. Blue, green, and nothing I draw here could be much better than that. That is something, and I do want to just blow this up. That becomes a Merit Lage, it scries, which is actually kind of more scary, because my opponent scrying into the 3-mana draw 6 into Abominable Tree Folk is a nightmare. It looks like we're seeing a Tree Folk come down here. Oh, another Spirit, meaning Mouth of Ronom can be activated, unless this trades. I will chump here. I can Tamiyo these two down. Unfortunately, we don't have the best removal for them, but that's kind of just something we have to accept. This is not a matchup I chose to bring much for. I guess I can leave a real mana floating, just because, I don't know, there are Mana Tide style effects. So that gains me 16 life, which is decent, but I will have to sack Tamiyo to do that again, or my opponent just kills Tamiyo. I wonder if they just go face here. This does leave me dead to the lands on board. Okay, not going face. I guess I'm probably going Shardless here. I really wish this library was land, because I could go Ferrous into Shardless and actually block these. I don't have double red, double white to Ferrous into removal spell to double block. Yeah, Ferrous doesn't save me. Dennick out of the bin costs too much. So I guess we're starting with Shardless and seeing where that gets us. I probably have to leave up white just in case we draw nothing off of it. Yeah. Okay, Dennick does buy us a turn. I will just kill this. I do think I actually had a sequence at the beginning of this game where I could have traded for the Rhyme Tender with my Meddling Mage and then just played Ferrous, and my opponent wouldn't have had the mana to blow it up. I would have gotten some 4/4s, those would have blocked this, I wouldn't be dead right now. So I do think if I was a bit more calculating there, I could have won this actually. Magus is like really good against this deck. Maybe I want it. I think I can actually just go down Meddling Mages. Like, they do not actually stop proper removal spells, and I think Library just sucks. I often board out some number of these cards versus non-combo and non-control. We did add in 3 more 2-drops, and Sylvan Library is not exactly a board impacting 2-drop anyways, so let's hope this works. I could also bring the Ignition back in if I want just like another way to stabilize. That might be worth it. Dennick soaked up removal spells there, so I think that was good. Maybe I do like 3 Magus. No, they have removal. Might actually want to cut a Tamiyo. It does tap stuff down, but it gets attacked really easy by those manlands, which I didn't consider before. So we're now back to 3-drop Tribal, which was another issue with that Esper build. All of the best cards were 3 cost, so it got some really awkward draws. Great. 2 1-landers. This deck cannot operate on 1 land. It can barely operate on 2. That is unfortunate. Sometimes these things happen. Great. I could just keep this. Keep like Fleecemane Shardless or something. I think I'm willing to go to 3 just for stable mana because we have a lot of beef in our deck. I'm going to just keep the lands, I think. I'm actually going to do this, I think. Oh, wait, we're mulling to 3. Yeah, okay. We're just going to keep Dennick, I guess. And the reason I'm keeping Dennick is that Dennick's backside is something we can play if we flood out from here, which we don't really have much control over on this mulligan. And then Dennick's front side is also just, you know, something that can kind of stabilize us. But our opponent's deck already outvalued us by just playing the game, and we are now, going to get crushed by Merit Lage, another somewhat Lovecraftian thing someone was asking about earlier. Abdication. I mean, like conceding the game? Sorry, I haven't been reading chat super closely. That is fine. Yeah, so we're flooding out, but if our opponent kills Dennick, we can play the backside for 4 mana, which will draw us cards if our opponent doesn't just immediately kill it, which is pretty likely. That deck gets a lot of removal, actually, for a blue-green deck. Like 8 fight spells after boarding. So we'll see. They can also just not kill it, but we'll probably chump with it eventually. I do hope we draw a non-land. This was the gamble of keeping, Dennick over Shardless, but then Shardless isn't necessarily guaranteed to hit anything worthwhile or be castable, so yeah, this happens. I could just rip Magus and I guess immediately die to Merit Lage coming down. If I rip Apart into Magus, that could actually lock my opponent out. That can hit Rip Apart. I will play the land first here, I think, or do I want to? I guess it doesn't matter. Let's do green, blue, Shardless. Gets us a Fleecemane, which isn't bad. That's something to do with our mana if we draw another land. I will attack. Our opponent can do a lot with mana, and removing any snow permanent when our opponent's at 9 for Slumber is important. This becomes a 2020 indestructible flying when our opponent has 10 permanents on their upkeep. So, yeah. Any removal spell will take this out, though I would just rip apart this. And yeah, that's not true now. The deck is like pretty much all snow cards, and they get Glacial Revelation, which is a 3 mana draw 6 if they're all snow cards, which is a pretty good payoff. It's often a draw 5 after board, which is, you know, nothing to sneeze at. I will play this first. I really need to hit a Rip Apart, like, right now. That's a Ferrous, which can't really race this. This will come in with Summoning Sickness. I guess I can hit Reflector Mage. Jumping with Dennick will also get me to 22. If my opponent's Savvy, it's possible that there just won't be an attack here to stop me from getting life off this. That is something you see in like Legacy, where you'll like try to avoid your opponent gaining life. Okay, we are going to 22, so we have 2 turns to draw an answer now. Reflector Mage times 3 or 1 Tamiyo can buy us another few turns. Okay. Bastion. Oh god, not more. Yeah, this is like our worst matchup, but yeah. When you pick your deck, you decide what matchups you want to beat and what you think is going to be popular. If I'm going to double chump, because if I rip Magus off the top, we'll go to 2 and then I'll have another turn. But we need to get like exactly Magus or Reflector Mage into the other one. That is a Fleece main lion. Actually, Dennick is something that can gain us 20 life here. That's pretty good. No pain, thanks to Labe. Dennick's new. I'll show you in a second. But his front side is like Ground Seal, which is a really old card that stops things in graveyards from being targeted. Oh, we're dead. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about, Decisive Denial. That was pretty good for Molda 3, though. If we drew exactly the 2 cards we wanted, we would have actually been able to win, potentially. Yeah. See, people are so polite in Penny Dreadful. It's just a really nice, casual thing. But, you know, if we look at our record, we got a 1-2, and I usually expect to go 0-2 against that deck on any version of Ferrous. So, pretty good. I'm going to go report those results, and then we can spectate some more people. Oh, I can keep going. It's Swiss. It's not elimination until the top 4, or 8, depending on how many people sign up, but 4 this time. So, yeah. We spectated this guy before. Let's see this tokens deck, what we missed in it. Oh, wow. Okay, that is not what I thought this deck was. So this is Prowess Humans tokens. Okay, that's interesting. And it's a token mirror. Well, okay, yeah, this is the downside of this ley line. It buffs everyone's tokens. It's like the old Merfolk Lords and Slivers that buff the other players also, which made some of the like most confusing board states ever, especially like in Commander mirrors. But yeah, Honor of the Pure is also legal. There's also Glass of the Guild Pact in Ferrous, though this sometimes buffs all your creatures in Ferrous if you build it a certain way. People have done that. Jeskai Ferrous can do that also. Sometimes that runs Champion of the Parish. It just goes humans with this as like the one monocolored card. Swift Spear is a good card that gets triggered off all of the token producers. I guess all of these are human tokens now, which is not true of older token makers, except I guess that's why our opponent was playing Gather the Townsfolk. I think that just makes humans, instead of Raise the Alarm, which makes soldier tokens only, I believe. Or dragon fodder, which makes goblins. Red for Swift Spear does seem a little sketchy. White-red fixing is pretty good in Penny right now. Penny has that weird quality where your fixing changes, like what color combinations get what fixing changes season to season. So like this season, black-white and blue-red have basically nothing for fixing. But like Bant colors have everything. And black-red and red-white have great fixing. Red-green's fixing is meh. But red-green sucks anyways right now because it can't beat combo. Unless you're like Burn. Oh, right. I forgot to share my screen again. Sorry. This is a tokens mirror. You can see what I've been talking about. Now, Leyline of the Meek, buffing tokens, and Champion of the Paris, and Swift Spear. This is the guy we played before. I was wondering why he was playing red at all. Goober. Yeah, okay, that was a bit goober of me, sorry. Yeah. Oh, I have more messages. What? Yeah. Okay, thank you for telling me. Can't see my screen. Yeah, my bad there. That happens. I am new to this. I forget my hotkeys sometimes. I forget to press them sometimes. Yeah. Are we going to see the flash-in tokens to buff Champion of the Parish for lethal line? Is that a thing? Oh, or that. That works. Just combat blow. I feel like that would have just guaranteed lethal if that happened before combat. Yeah. Oh no, they would have just jumped the champion then? Huh. Or was that an instant? That was an instant. Could have done that before blocks. I don't think it actually matters. Ooh. I used to run this in last season. It was really good because it triggered Hero. Hero of Precinct 1 was legal and General Ferrous was not, so I played the same deck in black-white. But it also crushed Oops All Spells, which we don't really have all the pieces for that type of graveyard combo this season because Narcomoeba rotated. Okay. Someone got salty in chat, but that's fine. Not my chat, the MTGO chat. This is the last game going. Wow, it's just everyone playing token, or I guess this is more like a... Whoa. Is this... No, this isn't Life is Easy. Life is Easy is like a 100 card mono white control deck that just like waits for the opponent to mill out and wins through boredom. Timeless Dragon is a big thing blue, white, and Esper control decks got this season. No standstill to pair with it, luckily, but still works. Counterspell is also legal. Ponder is like always legal. So blue-white control tends to be pretty solid. We'll get our next game pretty soon. There's a way to check, so I will be right back. Okay, it's not up yet. Well, I'm checking the standings. No, nothing is posted yet. We'll see. So yeah, one thing to consider is maybe something for the snow deck. There is like a there's a really weird old card called Freya-Lisa's Radiance, which can just like crush that deck. Unfortunately, that also means our basics don't untap, so it's kind of a not good idea. Are these? Oh, that's foil, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. There's not much great snow hate. There's like Break the Ice, which is terrible. It's like a conditional sinkhole against a deck that it doesn't really care, and we're not in the right colors anyways. There's some stuff you can do against like bigger creatures. Reflector Mage helps. We didn't draw that much, and Bant Charm helps. I have that in the main also. Magus would have helped, so we have some stuff for the snow matchup, but yeah. Doesn't look like games are posted yet. That's the gathering screen. I'm going to check again. Yeah, people have not yet reported the results. So we will wait. Oh, wait, that game didn't finish. Oh, that was game 2. Or game 1 even, maybe. Ah, that explains a lot. Myth Realized. Good card. I love it. Okay. So this is game 3. What is that? Huh. Yeah, wacky white enchantment stuff is not fully explored this season. I mean, nothing's ever fully explored in any season because the card pool is like almost infinite. But yeah, that is that's something. I have never seen that card. I don't think. So that base gives +0/+0. That kind of sucks. Yeah. Dovin is like one of the best walkers legal. Walkers are really random right now. We have 2 good 4-mana Garruks and like 2 decent Nissas. And then outside of green, all of the Planeswalkers just suck, except Dovin, who's like okay. And 7-mana Nicol Bolas, or maybe it's the 8-mana one actually this time, which is like also okay, but he costs 8 mana. So unless you're cheating him in, he just isn't great. This thing can do some stuff, making your enchantments really cheap. Oh, that's from Modern Horizons. It's a weird card. Kind of like a seal of fire. Or on thin ice, I guess. Unfortunately, sometimes in these tournaments, we do end up with control mirrors taking quite a bit. But I guess that's kind of true with every tournament. You know, someone is going to get near the match timer. Actually, our blue-white player here doesn't have much time, considering. So we could see a timeout because that deck does take longer to play. Though these myths will be down pretty fast if our opponent gets, or not our opponent, but the player on the opponent's side gets a second white source soon. This is another deck that benefits a lot from the treasure cruise and stuff like that. Jataxian Probe is also legal this season, and yet sees play in like 2 decks. Penny Dreadful is kind of a format of ridiculously unfair stuff mixed with ridiculously mediocre stuff in the same decks. So it can kind of feel like a mix of Legacy and Limited, which is actually really fun. But judging the power level of the card pool and like what decks actually will look like without having played the format is kind of impossible. You kind of just have to see it. Those are some cool basics. Those are from Colin McNeil. Yeah, we've got like 10 people spectating this. Metalline Mage in blue-white control is a bit of a weird choice because you also usually want to run Day of Judgment, which is legal because Wrath of God is just straight up better. As is Supreme Verdict, just straight up better. So Day of Judgment is always legal. Yeah, Standstill, as mentioned before, good with Myth Realized, good with Timeless Dragon, good with being blue-white. Yeah. Thank goodness that card is not in, because that would be a nightmare. Whoa. What was that? This guy just like accidentally waste mana? I think so. It didn't matter though. Oh no, that was for Sphere, of course. Oof. Spell Pierce is one of those like crazy blowout cards in this format that you kind of have to play around, but you can never perfectly, and it always gets you. Yeah, people are not supposed to bother the people playing in chat, so that's a little unusual, so I'm not going to participate in that conversation, but it's not too big of a deal. Pretty chill community. Yes, Fear with 1 enchantment is not that great. Sigil Good Encounter is pretty rough. I think this deck really wants green for like Enchantress's presence and stuff to draw your entire deck, so that you're not just folding if your Sigil gets countered or relying on things to resolve all the time. Yeah. Sterling Grove is also just like 4 main deck ways to tutor for any enchantment, which is really good against combo right now. Um, all right, there we go. So just to recap, in case anyone joined, we are playing mostly Bant, General Ferrous in Penny Dreadful. We are 1-1 in matches so far. We got absolutely crushed by Snow, and we got pretty easy victory against red-white token humans prowess deck, which is a bit weird. And yeah. We are going to start the next round soon. I just got a text, which is a reminder, just Happy New Year to everyone. Was I not streaming? What the hell? I thought I was streaming. That is weird. Man, I really need to keep better track of that. I was spectating the match the whole time, and I thought I hit that button. That's why I was talking so much. My God. Or did I just press that to check? Okay, we are against Watch Wander, who I think plays combo? I forget. I'm blanking. You can check like what people play on the Penny Dreadful website, just to see. But I figure it's not really necessary unless you're in like the big final tournament. One land. This hand kind of sucks, but it has 3 lands, so I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to send the Astrolabe, just because we already have perfect mana. We just need gas, and the second copy of a legendary is still gas if it gets removed, or if we want to spend 6 mana to legend roll it and then play the backside. And this is high tide, so we are dead. Oh no, that's Snow. Snow Island. That is weird. Oh, that's an excellent draw. Yeah, I want to just get that started. This can ramp, this can find us something that does not suck against blue decks. That does not suck against blue. That can counter High Tide. Yeah. One of the weirder, older charms. It's actually probably one of the more normal charms, but the older charms tended to be a bit more like they were powerful in different ways. Oh, Search for Us content. That could still be High Tide. That's a bit more of a control card. They can go off from 3 lands. I don't think we can respect that though. I think I do just have to get more of a clock in play, because holding up 3 mana is a big cost. I'm going to play Wastes, Dennick, and Smack. Post board, we do have our 4 Deafening Silence for this, so. And Lantern, actually. Graveyard Hate's pretty good against the Search for Iscanta Treasure Cruise deck. Yeah. It's beginning to look a lot like High Tide. Snow Islands. Oh, wait. This is Big Blue. Okay. I don't think my opponent read this revealed Bant Charm, because, yeah. We get to just blow that up. Okay. Um, yeah. This is, unless this is some weird high tide hybrid, but I'm just not quick to play around that. Oh. Shackles is like one of the best cards in the format against this deck. So blowing it up and not like waiting for it to be activated and playing into counter magic is definitely worth it, I think. This deck does run like Fairy Vandal and stuff. I'm going to attack though. If Dennick dies, I have another. So not really giving up a resource. I'm going to just play Meddling Mage. It's white and blue. I don't know what I'll name, but this probably just gets countered anyways. So, could see a lose focus here. Yep, no surprise. Counterspell got milled, which implies lots of counter magic. Yeah, lose focus in addition to counterspell is pretty typical. Fading Hope is annoying, but we can really stop that. You could see Treasure Cruise here, though, for 2 mana. Or actually 1 mana, and Escanto Flips. Oh god, we are kind of dead. I think we're fine if we resolve Tamiyo. I don't think we will resolve Tamiyo. Our opponent is down to 3 cards, but Treasure Cruise, yep. Yeah, that's going to bury us very quickly. I'm going to attack, see if my opponent taps out for Fairy Vandal, or taps down, I guess. Yeah. I'll replay Dennick first. And I do think I want to just run this into a counterspell. Our opponent will counter something, and if I just don't do anything, as Conte gets to draw a card. So, yeah. We could see the 4 mana thing that bounces everything cheaper than the number of islands you control. Instead, Shackles is just doing its thing. There's some really weird interactions with Shackles and Reflector Mage, which is basically it bounces it, but it stops your opponent from playing anything with the same name. So, yeah. My opponent just gave me a chance to draw a land and prepare to make this hexproof, but I didn't draw that. Let's attack. My opponent has to activate this before attacks, or I just tap out, or like swing out. Okay. I will not attack that. My opponent does have 2 mana up. I can't play Astrolabe, which sucks. We do have a sort of low level of resources. I will just... I really don't want Tamiyo to get countered, so I think just to do something, I'm playing Mage. This feels terrible, but maybe it gets countered. Oh, perfect. Awesome. Shackles does not untap. Okay. And if I play the second Dennick, my opponent can just untap Shackles, give me back the Dennick, one will die, and then do something else. Okay. That is either going to mill our opponent out or kill us. Probably the second one. Though I get to Tamiyo. So, yeah. Let's colorless, whatever, blue, green. I'm taking a bit of damage, but that's fine. And I am going to choose these 2 and attack with the Fleece Mane. If my opponent jumps, I still draw 2 cards. Yeah. These are like counted as separate triggers, which is weird. Right, there we go. My opponent can't steal Raging Ravine, so I'm just going to Astrolabe, dig deeper for something that can deal with some of this. Unfortunately, Shackles can steal Ferrous because it's colorless, and I don't have any other main deck artifact removal. I have the 2 Rip Aparts in the board. Oh, great. Yeah. Mono blue control is a bit weird. Well, that's interesting. Huh. Alright, I'm going to start with this. I can't actually activate Fleece Mane because of Pillar, but maybe my opponent doesn't realize that. So I'm going to go to combat. Huh. Letting me attack. And draw 2? No. Okay. Alright, but tapping out, that's interesting. I think I just want to get back this Dennick. The Manland puts some pressure on my opponent's Shackles, and the flyer gets above the things that just got stolen, so yeah. Alright, I get Oracle back. That's not super surprising. My opponent can't buff this, and if I buff it, it can't be stolen again, so that's kind of just locked as a 3-3 for this one. Dennick could be stolen, that would be annoying. One thing is, if these Shackles get untapped and I tap them down with Tamiyo, then I can kind of lock them out. That is not happening though. Oh, yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, I've faced a similar deck to this before. Academy Elite is a weird card. It might be an old one. Yeah, not blocking. The issue here is like, if we attack and our opponent trades, we're losing 2 creatures, and then Shackles can just untap and do something else. But I can tap these 2 down and fire up Raging Ravine potentially. Then my opponent might have to give me stuff back. Or this just gets bounced with a fighting mode. Alright, we get some damage in. Then I think I want to play this Dennick. It's because my life total is under a bit of pressure. And actually, my opponent could just kill me here. But we can't really play around anything at this spot, so I think that's lethal, yep. I'm just going to concede. Or, oh no, those don't untap, right. Good I missed, or good I didn't miss that. Probably lose Tamiyo, yep. The way is clear for me to fire up Raging Ravine and Ignition it, but that is not likely to do anything because your opponent has 7 cards in hand, is looking at a bunch more, has this Kanta. It's probably Counterspell. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is a very obnoxious blue stompy list, basically. And not being in black, I don't actually have the right type of hard removal. So yeah, I'm probably dead. Can I even do that? I don't even have a land for that. So this Dennett could chump for a turn. So I could just flood the board with Coiling Oracles and try and chump. I guess I'm doing that. This also gives haste, but that's a 7/7, so yeah. Not drawing Ferrous is kind of unfortunate because that would kind of lock down one of these shackles and do a lot. Oh, that is good. That's one of the best cards in this matchup. That can bounce the Djinn or be countered. And my opponent investigates again. Yeah. Just getting buried burrow on cards. Yep. Unfortunate matchups, but you do have ways to beat them. This is another must counter like Tamiyo, Lantern, Rip Apart, Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire is not actually great. Lantern and Rip Apart have text. Ignition's a bit mopey versus this deck. Bant Charm's one of our only answers to Shackles. Library is good. Dennick's good. Meddling Mage does a surprisingly little amount, but I probably don't want to cut them all. 2 Lantern is probably sufficient. It does cantrip, but it's a bit slow. Oracle has an ETB. Lion can become hexproof from the Shackles or from Fading Hope. I guess it is just Meddling Mage again. I do cut that a lot in fair matchups. I don't like shaving all 4. It does kind of reduce our speed a bit, but I think this is the best we can present against this deck. Ferrous can still take the game over or just force our opponent to use the shackles on it forever. Yeah. And you know, this is tournament, so you see quite different matchups than you do in the league. So this has Bant mana and 3 red cards. I don't like mulliganing against control. I also don't like keeping cards with this sketchy mana. This is like a multi-4, basically, unless we hit red mana. The question is, do I think the average multi-6 is better? The double Ferrous is not actually great against Shackles. So that's also making it like a multi-6 already. But you know, we can just go turn 2 Fleece Mane. We have 13 red sources to hit, which is almost a quarter of our deck. Plus, we can cast any non-red card off the top. I'm going to keep just, you know, this is a control deck. We have time to hit our cards. I will play Forest on 1 in case I draw Coiling Oracle because I boarded out Meddling Mage. Yes. Being on the play is quite nice. No counterspell on our first card. Oh, your grandmother called. Okay, thanks. And last couple games, we are 0-1 right now against a weird matchup. It's actually a fine matchup unless they draw Vidalcan Shackles, which destroy those. And then we are 1-1 overall in terms of matches. Though I do have 6 power on play, turn 3 against control, which is going to make things a little easier. And if I can sneak this in, we probably just win. Yep, there's Shackles on 3, right on time. Reflector Mage kind of helps against that. I'm going to pretend I have something here, just there is value to that. My clock isn't too low. This is a pretty quick deck to play. Streaming does obviously make it harder to be, efficient with time. My opponent's also playing quite fast though. If we get an untapped land here, yeah, my opponent has to do this upkeep to play around Monstrosity, but then that means I can Reflector Mage and replay it. I guess maybe I should have done that around Lose Focus, but yeah. My opponent has to find an answer to this lion soon, or I can just monstrous it on upkeep. I think that was a misplay. I think I should have played that land first. These are the little things that cost games when you don't think they will. Alright, my opponent is fueled for 2 treasure cruises almost, so yeah. Ascanta flipped also. One nice thing in the Esper version is Vindicate kills Ascanta, and Shackles. So that's one thing we give up by not being in black, is the ability to just kill anything. There's 1 cruise. Still 5 cards in bin, so next cruise costs 3. So we could see that next turn. Alright, I'm just going to pass. I can make this monstrous at any point, but I want to force my opponent to leave up mana if Fading Hope is the plan. Okay, I do have to respond to that. Oh. Well, that's pretty good. Our opponent will chump with our thing. I guess maybe I should have played Shardless in case I hit Fleece Mane, but... Or not Fleece Mane, in case I hit Rip Apart on this Shackles, but that probably would have been countered anyways. Blue, green, whatever. If I hit Astrolabe here, I can play Ferrous. Library is good. So 3 cards in hand that we cannot cast, so effectively a multi 4, but this matchup is really about very specific cards. Shackles, Fleece Mane, I guess Ascanta and Treasure Cruise. So starting card advantage doesn't matter as much, and once we hit any red source, these are all online, and it's like we played Treasure Cruise, just, it wasn't in addition to our mulligan. Opponent can steal Shardless to jump with, to jump with. I'm going to pay 4 for Dennick, and attack. Next turn I can Ferrous into Assemble the Legion, which will probably be enough if my opponent doesn't have multiple counters, though that's a lot of cards in hand, so we'll see. Things get real tricky once Ferrous is in play. Expect this to be countered. Okay, we will get a semi-free 4/4 here. Yeah, Ferrous is stolen. You get a 4/4. That can also be stolen, but starting to grind through the shackles, and we can always just not attack. Hibernate. Oh god. Return all green permanents to their owners. That is like the one answer in this format to Flace Main. Huh. A mass bounce. I guess so. That sucks. Yeah, I'm not blocking. Oh, yikes. Oof. That is not a good set of draws. Yeah. I can't pay because of Jin. So I'm going to combat. Attacks. My opponent will probably steal the Golem. No. Okay. I'll hit with these. I'm actually going to Suicide Denikin also, just so that I'm not dead to these two attacking if my opponent doesn't have a land. Though my opponent probably has a land. Yeah. Oh god. Oh god. Wow, this is really just like big blue, huh? Yeah. My opponent's at 7. I now get to resolve 2 very high impact cards. So that makes Shackles irrelevant later, but we'll see how much that matters. My opponent could just return Ferrous and Legend Roll it here, but I still got a 4/4. Opponent didn't want to return my Ferrous, that's weird. Oh god. Yeah, this matchup is painful, because, you know, that just happens. Yeah. Ow. And still with Hibernation in hand too, which would have been a major blowout. Yeah. There's... Yeah, you can run Sorcerer's Spyglass on the board if you're worried about stuff like Shackles, but it's not really great against anything else in the meta right now. Maybe I should consider that in the future. Looks like we were the last game. I'll be right back to report this. I have to check my game. I was 0-2, so we might not be in the top 4. We'll see though. Right. Our next game is against Tenor Sax, who I've faced before, but I honestly don't pay that much attention to who plays what, unless they're a mainstay of the community. Let's see. All right, we're starting. We're on the play, which is quite nice. That hand is terrible. This is pretty good. I'll bottom, I think, the second Colosseum. Could have bottomed Mage there also. Oh, thank goodness I did not bottom Reflector Mage. Okay. This kills auras. So, yeah. On a white heroic is a thing. And being a white deck is nice because they can't give protection from white without killing all their auras. Reflector Mage is nice. This is a better matchup. Our sideboard's good. We have Sacred Fire and Rip Apart, and Magus of the Moat actually can lock them if you name Griff Spoon with Meddling Mage. They do run one Spirit Mantle usually, which gives protection from creatures, but that's the like big one. Okay, that's annoying, but I can Ferrous here. There's some argument not to play Pillar there because we could get Bronzehide or Ravine, but I'm not going to be doing those for the next few turns anyways. Oh, yikes. Okay, my opponent's just going wide. That's a way to beat removal. Totem Armor, ignore that bug, it's not actually big. I will take 8. This deck is fast, but I have a good card, which is Reflector Mage. And I will probably just chump with Reflector Mage this turn. Or double block with a Golem. Yikes. So what I can do here is quite nice. This is part of why Tamiya is so strong, is I can just tap these both down for 2 turns, get in 7 damage, put another 4/4 down, and nearly kill my opponent next turn, immediately putting them on the defense. I can also next turn attack with Ferrous, then play a second one to make a 4/4 and give it Pseudo Vigilance, which could be good. Ethereal Armor is a scary card. So is that. I could actually just jump or tap things down again. Lose Tamiyo then, but then I would also probably kill my opponent, depending on what happens with this guy. I think that's actually probably best, meaning I want to play this Ferrous first to get a 4/4, keeping the old one. Hit for 8. And then can tap these down again. Play land, and even though we've flooded out, this puts lethal on board easily. There we go. I would have played that more defensively if I hadn't drawn 7 land, but sometimes you just gotta, play tempo. Post board, we get cards. Tamia was pretty solid there. I'm not sure if I still want her. Sylvan Library can go. Gets us rip apart. Coiling Oracle chumps, which is why I don't cut it much in creature matchups. It's possible I don't want the Magi. I can just block forever with Ferrous tokens. I can Meddling Mage, Evasion. I have removal. Could just cut the Tamio. Fleece Mane is a bit slow versus this. Like, it just gets outsized real quickly, but if you make it indestructible, it can block forever. So I think it's worth keeping. 2 life is worth something. However many life this is worth something. I think it's just this. I have played this matchup before. I forget whether I boarded in Magus, but I don't think it's good because there are 4 Grist Boons, which get around it. And I'd rather just, like, kill my opponent if that's happening. This is medium. We've got perfect mana, okay cards in the matchup. I think we keep. We have a redraw and enough land to cast anything, and that's often just enough. I will lead on planes. Agent's Landing, okay. That's like the one value card in that list. I'm not too worried about it. Well, that's probably a pretty good draw. Umbra. Okay. I do like making my opponent go in on one of these tokens usually, so I am going to just play a Fleece Mane. That is bigger, and if my opponent puts another aura on this, then the blowout will be incredible, especially if I bounce it, and it's just not a heroic creature, so yeah. Pro multicolored, yeah. Ferrous decks are not the most uncommon, so that happens. But Ferrous himself is still a house. No point in trying to block this. This is just a race now. Ignition really helps though. Shardless giving 2 4/4s really helps. We haven't shown that off yet, I don't think. And our opponent getting a Lightning Helix a turn isn't actually that much. Hallowblade's annoying. Tamio is hilarious. I'm gonna cycle Labe and then play Shardless, probably. Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, this sequence is just so ridiculous. We ramped, we put 11 power on board. Am I willing to sacrifice this to make my opponent discard a card? I don't think so, because I can just activate it next turn. Yeah. Right. Griff Spoon, yeah. It was already unblockable because my entire deck is multicolored. So I am a fool for playing Ferrous into this meta that is 100% prepared for Ferrous. Protection does not stop Trample, which is very nice. So what I can do here is I can play Denick. This makes a 4/4, and then I can ignition that 4/4. We get another 4/4, of course, and now I just swing for a lot of damage. And this has flashback for next turn. I think I'm willing to just swing out here, except with Ferrous. My opponent, this has trample, so if my opponent blocks, sacks, I'm doing 6, 12, 13. Yeah, I think I just need to get this game over with. Next turn, if I draw a cheap spell, I can ignition a new token again. Otherwise, it'll have to be one here. Okay. Blocks like I described. No surprise. There's no way to prevent more damage without failing to trade. You can't block this anyway, so the lion is much less valuable than I described during sideboarding. See what we got here. Just a hoplite. Okay. Right now, if I swing out, my opponent chumps, takes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16. So I can just tap these down. Oh, we win. Yeah. One of Tameo after boarding, still just crushing. But this is a big reason to be banned, is this card at the top. It's super underrated. This costs 4 to flashback, which is why I'm not doing it. So that was pretty clean, 2-0. The matchups are very polarized in this format right now, as you can probably tell. So we, had 2 very bad matchups and 2 very good matchups, and actually not much in between. This was really the only play, or the only game I got to show off any cool tricks in the deck, much decision making. I made a few errors in the other ones, but yeah. Unfortunately, not the most interesting ones today. I will spectate this. I need to report my game first. Looks like there were 5 people who had at least 2 wins before this last round. So I'm 2-2. I believe I'm like almost 0 chance to get in the top 4, but we'll see. It's Swiss determined by opponent match win percentage. Here's the spectator. Hey, he showed off the deck. I probably want to do some stuff for some of these bad matchups. I'm not exactly sure what I should do there. Yeah. Okay, that match was just about over. Oops, wrong screen. Sorry. Well, that's over. We will see who's in the top 4 now. So, yeah. That was actually a pretty quick set of Swiss rounds, only about 2 hours, which is, I guess that's half an hour round. That's pretty normal. The more people play, the more likely there is a control mirror, which is annoying, but our rounds went pretty fast. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. We will see. That's going to be posted in a second. It's calculated based on, here, I can show you this. It's right here is the thing, tiebreakers explained. This has not updated with our last round, so I'm going to have 6 points after this round. Some of these people might have 9 points. This guy is already guaranteed top 8 pretty much. But opponent match win percentage, then my game win percentage, then my opponent's game win percentage. And if we look at my history, I went 2 and 1-2, but I also got 2 2-0s, so my game win percentage is pretty good, but it usually only goes to opponent percentage. And let's see, these have just gotten posted on Gatherling itself. Yeah, we don't have a match at the top, so I believe we did not make it. I can reload this, actually. Sorry, it's top 4 because it's 4 rounds of Swiss. So, yeah, I was the 5th, which is quite unfortunate. But I sort of expected to be. I had a good set of records, but I did go 2-2. So, yeah, out of the 3 of us, Watch Wander, who also went 2-2, must have faced players that had better win rates, so we lost. But 5th place in a tournament is never bad, even if it's a small one. We get our deck on the website, and yeah. Things I might change. Assemble of Allegiance kind of a meme, but I just wanted to play it today. I couldn't think of another card. I didn't think the other Planeswalkers were great. I think I want better removal. Unfortunately, there isn't much other than like Bant Charm or Azorius Charm, and yeah. I'll have to look at that. It's possible this color combo is not right. It's possible Jeskai's just cleaner, or I want to go back to this color combo where I can run stuff like Hostage Taker, Vindicate, Summon Edict, which is really good against blue decks that aren't shackling your creatures. Witch's Vengeance for elves is sometimes better, sometimes worse than Magus. Slaughter Games for combo, it's pretty similar, but it's got some different tools. Sculler is nice in fair matchups also. I'll have to think about it. I don't think Ferrous decks are the best positioned right now, but they're also not the worst positioned. I think it really depends on your build and your matchups. It's kind of random. So, yeah, that's the deck wrap up, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I've had a lot of tech issues, but I'm trying to stream more. I just got my headset back and fixed, which is why you can hear me properly now. But I am on an old computer right now because my new computer had its hard drive die in the past 24 hours with barely any warning due to a manufacturing error that I guess just it didn't notify me of until it was about to die. So, like months later also. So that is getting fixed sometime. I have not yet gotten any info. Yeah, I'm going to put this entire stream on YouTube. My YouTube is linked on my Twitch, so if you missed a match, if you ever want to, send this to a friend to discourage them from playing 4-color General Ferrous Rockrick or encourage them to, yeah, I would like to just plug here at the end the Penny Dreadful Magic website. It's just that URL. Please, if you are interested in the format, go look at it, join the Discord, join Magic the Gathering Online, get your free card hoarder loan account. Everything's set up. It's really easy to do. It's a fun format. It's the cheapest format ever. And it is a brewer's paradise if you like playing all sorts of weird stuff. You can see we've got, Boros Control and Simic Snow and, Niv Mizzet Perun, who was an old standard champion, alongside like combo decks and 137 card white control decks. And these are all 5.0 deck lists. So please check it out if you are interested in the format. And thanks for tuning in. I've been Andrew, and have a great day.